Hey everybody, welcome back to Vanland. We just got our hands on a new 2023 Sprinter all-wheel drive, and so we wanted to give you guys our first impression, take a look at all the new features, and then help you decide, is this the new best Sprinter van to get? If you had the choice of getting the previous generation four-wheel drive van versus the new 2023 all-wheel drive, is this a better van? So let's take a look at all the specs and let's take it for a test drive, and we'll help you try to answer that question. Starting out on the exterior, the good news that we have for the new Sprinter vans is the body and most of the layout has not changed. And this is really good news for upfitters and manufacturers who make parts for these vans, because when they need to be changed, it can often take months or even years to get updated parts. So pretty much everything on the interior and on the roof is going to be the same. Now underneath the van, since it has a new engine, new transfer cases, and a new all-wheel drive system, some of the components underneath are not going to fit anymore. Just off the top of my head, I know that the fuel tanks and typical suspension kits are going to need some upgrades. So before you buy any equipment for underneath, please check that it works on the 2023 van. But most of the interior stuff, roof racks, and all the equipment that goes on the outside of the van is typically going to be the same. So that's good news. Another thing to note about the 2023 vans is that most of the features that people were not able to get in the previous years, like the 10-inch screen and the LED lighting, most of those features are now being delivered on the new vans. So that's also good news, because it seems like the features that people want are more readily available. Okay, it's actually starting to get really cold out and I think it's gonna rain, so let's just jump in the van and take it for a test drive and let's see what we think. Okay, here we are inside the new 2023 Sprinter. I just want to give you guys my first impression, how it feels to drive this van with an all new engine and drivetrain in it. And I'm expecting it's going to be a lot different. My first impression when I heard about this van coming out like a year ago, I was a bit skeptical. The 4-cylinder engine, obviously you want as much power as you can have in one of these vans if you're going to be outfitting it. But from what the specs say, it should be just as powerful and have even more torque. So here we go. Okay, so the engine is quite smooth. I would say a little bit smoother than the previous generation. And the first thing I noticed right off the bat is the power steering. It's a lot easier to turn than the van that I currently drive, which is a 2020 four-wheel drive van. And the previous generation two-wheel drive vans, I was always a little bit jealous because the turning and really the driving experience was so much better. So it looks like they have included the new power steering in the 2023, which to me is a big improvement. It already just drives a lot nicer in terms of the steering. All right, and let's check the pickup. Wow. All right, a lot more power. This definitely is a lot more powerful from the get-go. You just punch it and it goes. So this is 4-cylinder twin turbo high output engine, 2-liter. And this van has 208 horsepower versus 188 on the previous generation of 6-cylinder. 332 foot-pounds of torque versus 325 on the previous generation. So even though it's a smaller engine, it has more power and higher torque. And I can just say it's a much punchier ride. The engine feels better. Kind of now, after having driven this, the 2020 four-wheel drive that I drive basically as a daily driver feels sluggish. And I'm just noticing it a lot now. And of course, this is a new van. It doesn't have anything in the back yet, but I've driven that van since it was brand new, also a cargo van, all the way up until now. It's fully outfitted. And I can say that just pound for pound, this is a much peppier van. it feels nice. It's a lot more like driving a car than driving a van, is kind of how this feels right off the bat. So also we have a 9-speed automatic transmission, which is new for this vehicle. And I've driven this a little bit, maybe about 25 miles so far. And one thing I noticed is that it really rips through the gears. So even though this will not have as low of a low gear as the 4-wheel drive did that had the low gear option with it, as I'm accelerating off the line, it's really only spending like a half second at each gear. So I believe I'm at 45 miles an hour, and I was already in 6th gear at that point at 45. Just in terms of driving experience, which most people are going to be driving on the road, the all-wheel drive van is definitely feeling like it's better performance in most conditions. For most people, this is going to be an upgrade. If you're a hardcore off-roader, then the all-wheel drive might not be your preferred vehicle, but that's not how most people use their vans, I find. Most people need just really good highway performance around town, which this would actually give you a lot better experience around town. And then occasionally when you do get into more challenging conditions where the road is slick, there's snow or sand or mud, having the all-wheel drive should give you the confidence to get out of those types of situations and not get stuck. Having said that, I think it's still a really good idea to put a front bumper and a winch on a vehicle like this. I find that if you get into real trouble, that's actually where you need the rescue, is not necessarily from a 4-wheel drive or a differential locker, but actually physically pulling the van out of whatever situation it's in. The all-wheel drive, just given the fact that it's always on and always active, it's not only going to be safer, but also, I think, just inspire more confidence. But certainly, if you get into a situation where the wheels are sliding and you don't have good traction and the 4MATIC kicks in automatically, that's a performance upgrade that I think is worth giving up some off-road performance to have better on-road performance. For people considering whether or not this is an upgraded van and you should purchase this versus looking for one of the previous generation of vans that's still on the market, for me, the biggest thing is the fuel economy. So it's significantly different for the 6-cylinder 4-wheel drive versus the new all-wheel drive with the high output. So just in the little bit of testing we've done, it's always been over 20 miles per gallon on this new van, up to 24. And again, that's been driving in different conditions, like a little bit on the highway, some around town. There's no weight in the back, so you expect to get pretty good mileage right now, but currently with the van that I am driving, I will get 14 to 16 miles per gallon with it fully loaded. This is a significant upgrade. You're going to get 30% better fuel economy, 25 to 30%, and that makes a big difference. I think that's probably the most compelling argument for why you would want the 4-cylinder van. Okay, but overall, this is fun. This is a more fun van to drive. So let's answer the question, now that we've done the test drive, is this a better van than the previous generation, and is the 2023 all-wheel drive the best Sprinter van on the market? So all I have to say is that you're gonna get more power, more torque, definitely a better transmission and power steering, and all while getting significantly better fuel economy. So in my opinion, even though I was a little bit skeptical when the specs on this new van first came out, was it going to be powerful enough? What was the engine going to feel like? I've been convinced. I'm so excited about it that I am going to order a new van for myself. I believe all the 2023 vans are already spoken for in terms of ordering it and speccing it out. So I'm going to order a 2024. Stay tuned, because in an upcoming episode, we are going to go over everything that you need to know in order to order your own Sprinter. We've done a video like this on the previous generation, but we're gonna update it for the new Sprinter so you guys know what features to add and what to skip when you're ordering your van. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching. We appreciate you guys so much, and we'll see you again next time.